What is up, everybody? What is up, everybody? My name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Come on into the room. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, like, share, and subscribe in the notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, today we have a good show out for you today. Come on in, let me know. We got a good live show going. And on today's show, I'm going to be talking about my top five favorite newcomers to the SWAC this fall. Come in and shout out your team. Come in and shout out your school. Come in and shout out who you representing, because we are going to be talking about my top five newcomers to the SWAC, whether it's true freshmen, transfer portal, and no, it will not include Travis Hunter. I'm just going to let you know straight up. It will not include Travis Hunter. We've talked about Travis Hunter plenty enough on this channel, but we'll have 5 new names to talk about. So sit back, buckle up your seatbelts, pop some popcorn. Let's get into it right after the bumper. What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? Like I said, come on in. Shout out your school, shout out your team, shout out who you representing in the comments down below, in the chat down below. We'll be answering some questions from the chat. But today, we're going to be talking about the top 5 newcomers to the SWAC. My top 5 newcomers to the SWAC. Let me go ahead and pull up. To be the first time I actually I did a PowerPoint for you guys. So, it is the 5 best newcomers to the SWAC. This list will include true freshmen and transfers. So here are the stipulations that I took when I made this list. One of the stipulations was I didn't want guys who transferred from a SWAC school to a SWAC school, right? So essentially you had to have never played a SWAC football game ever. Like that. That's what I would say. You had never played in the SWAC competition ever. So, for example, Jason Dumas transferred from Prairie View to Southern. He couldn't be on my list because he's not a newcomer. He's played SWAC games before. We know Jason Dumas is going to be dominant. We know, et cetera, et cetera. These are guys who have the great unknown. Shout out to Brandon. Shout out to Shell. These are guys that, I use the Grambling fans for my background for the original picture. Yeah, shout out to the Gram fam. But these are guys who have a big question mark. They're a great unknown. We've never seen them play, at least not at a SWAC school, at least not at their respective school. So basically, I can be completely wrong on all 5 of these guys. These guys can end up being not very good. These guys can end up not contributing at all at their schools this year. But the chances are they're going to make some kind of impact. And I really wanted to take that into consideration, guys who I thought would actually make an impact. And I give you reasons why I chose these guys. I'm going to let you know this list will be quarterback heavy. Why? Because the quarterback matters that much in the game of football. So let's start at 5. And I said it's going to be quarterback heavy. And number 5 is a quarterback. He goes by the name of Mr. Davis, Demetrius Davis at Alabama State. Alabama State quarterback, freshman quarterback Demetrius Davis, who will be leading Bama State. He is an Auburn transfer. He didn't see the field much at Auburn, so he'd come in as a classification as a freshman, 4-star recruit in 2021. I mean, he is a bona fide stud. Had a bunch of SEC offers, a bunch of offers from everywhere. In high school, this is where it gets impressive. In high school, the young man as a 4-year starter at his school, 51-3. 51-3 as a starter in high school with over 10,500 yards passing, another 3,000 yards on the ground, and 171 touchdowns at his high school throughout his career, going 51-3. Now that's impressive. That is impressive. Now somebody said number 1 Travis, number 2 Kevin Coleman, 3 Ryan Peppins, 4 Davis, and 5 is tough. That's a nice list. That's a nice list. And Brandon, shout out to Brandon for being interactive, being participant. That's your list though. I can tell you it's not mine. I got Mr. Davis at number 5. Why? Because I think Alabama State Here's a team that could shock some people in the SWAC, I think. And if they do shock people, it will be because of the play of Mr. Davis. I think he can bring a level of excitement. I've always talked about how the quarterback play in the SWAC is something that continues to improve. Hell, Hugh Jackson brought in 5 quarterbacks at Grambling. Demetrius Davis is a Power 5 Auburn transfer, former 4-star, who had a crazy record and could have went to any school out of high school and while he was in the transfer portal. He chose to go to Bama State. Hugh Jackson brought in 5 quarterbacks. We know what Shedeur Sanders has been able to do with Jackson State, and he's looking to take his game up another notch. And there'll be another signal caller on here for a SWAC school. And so the raised quarterback play is one thing the SWAC continues to do. It's one thing that's going to continue to make the conference viable, continue to make the conference relevant, and continue to elevate the conference. So Mr. Demetrius Davis. Oh, and also I put in there that his coach took him to SWAC Media Day. So why does that even matter? You know, we talked about SWAC Media Day and the importance of certain players being there and who wasn't, who, blah, blah, blah. The fact that Davis was there, if there was any confusion, so we know there's quarterback battles going on at Grambling. I think they've announced the starter at Southern, but there was a battle at Southern. There's a battle at Prairie View. There's some battles in different places. It don't look like there's no battle at Bama State. It looks like they're going with Mr. Davis, and the fact that Coach Eddie Robinson Jr. brought him to SWAC Media Day. You're not going to bring a guy who you think is going to lose the job. You're not going to bring a backup. You're going to bring a guy that you think is a bona fide starter that's going to help your team and that you expect to do big things for your team. So that let me know, okay, I can add him to the list. Demetrius Davis, number 5 on the top 5 newcomers coming into the SWAC this year. I told you guys this was going to be a good list. Number 4. Is Quay Davis, the best kept secret at Jackson State. It seems like we know everything else of what's happening on 1400 Lynch Street except about Quay Davis. He is the best kept or maybe the worst kept secret. I don't know whichever way you want to look at it. He's the best kept or the worst kept. 4-star receiver in the class of 2021, ranked number 142 overall by 247. According to Shedeur Sanders, this is something that I took away, and I talked about this on my SWAC Media Day recap. Shedeur spilled the beans. Shedeur told us that they are working Quay Davis at both running back and at receiver. And he's 6 foot, almost around 200 pounds. And so he's built like a running back. 6 foot, 200 pounds. It sounds like a little running back to me. So he's being used at running back and wide receiver. Why would they use him at running back and wide receiver? Because he's talented and they want to get him out on the field. And they want to get the ball in his hands. And when you're a superior, like a really good talent, and you're a guy who can be positionless, you're a guy that can be utilized in multiple ways, yet a coach and the team are going to find ways to get you out there on the field, no matter whether it's at running back or wide receiver. And the fact that they're using him at both lets me know that they plan on getting the ball in his hands a bunch at JSU. There was the practice video because he had some kind of issues going into last season. So they kind of redshirted him. They let him practice, and there was a bunch of practice video that was coming out of him just torching dudes. He's the most talked about player no one has seen. I talked about that. He could potentially take the JSU Tigers offense to the next level. I've talked about this a number of times on this platform that Jackson State struggled when it came to offense, at the offensive line and at the running back position. And they upgraded the running back position. You got Tyson Alexander, who came back. You got Santee Marshall, who's another year better. You got Sevion Wilkerson from Dell State, one of the best HBCU running backs in the entire country that transferred into JSU. And now you have a guy with crazy talent like a Quay Davis who is being added to that running back room, is going to do nothing but continue to elevate your offense. An offense that hopes to light up the scoreboard. An offense that looked pedestrian at times last year. An offense that's brought in 10 new offensive linemen, a brand new offensive coordinator, and a freshman quarterback who's coming off an award-winning season when at times the offense as a unit looked pedestrian. They upgraded every single thing. And Quay Davis, I think, will be a big part of the success that JSU will have in 2022. Now, once again, it's just a prediction. We haven't seen him play. Like I said, the most talked about player no one's seen play. But I think he has a ton of potential. Just even reading this 247 eval was like, future NFL starter. I was like, oh, that's pretty good for a kid coming out of high school. Quay Davis comes in at number 4. Number 3 might shock some of you guys. Continue to hit that thumbs up button. Continue to like, share, subscribe. Why? Yeah, you got a wide back deep like Debo. Yeah, like Debo Samuels. That's exactly who it sounds like they're going to try to use him like. So that's going to be cool. Really interesting to watch. Number 4 is a young man by Donte Starks. Now, Donte Starks, he goes to Grambling. He transferred from LSU to Grambling. He is a guy, is a former 4-star recruit from the state of Louisiana. He's coming back home. His senior year in high school. Now, this was back in 2019, so it was a few years ago. 129 tackles, 17 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks. He was at LSU in 2019 as a true freshman. He was a part of the recruiting class with guys like Derek Stingley, and he won a national championship on that LSU team. But during his time at LSU, there was a bunch of confusion about some stuff. His grades kind of slipped, and then there was reports that he had got, caught with a gun and stuff. Like, there's a bunch of crazy stuff, right? And so Donte had been out of football for the last couple of years. And then Coach, honestly, Dooley, shout out to Eric Dooley, had gave him a chance first. He actually committed to Southern and Coach Dooley, and then flipped his commitment from Coach Dooley and Southern to Coach Hugh Jackson in the G-Men, the Tigers. And Donte, I'm rooting for Donte, not just because he's extremely talented, but I think this has the potential of being a really remarkable story. From a guy, like I said, who was on top of the world, 4-star recruit, LSU, national champion, and then to have his whole world flipped upside down, to have the game of football taken away from him for multiple years, dealing with all the nonsense that came with whatever happened back at LSU or whenever he was visiting home or whatever, and then to get another chance, to get a redemption story, to play for a school in your hometown, to play at an HBCU, to be a part of the resurgence of Grambling football, and to help turn Grambling football into something special, possibly under the leadership of head coach Hugh Jackson. I think this is a story made for TV. This is a story made for Netflix. This is a story made for, a really beautiful comeback, something that could really be special. And that is why I have Donte Starks on here. And let's not, skip the fact that he's 6 foot, 25 pounds, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in that Grambling linebacker room that's filled with talented brothers on a defense that was extremely talented. And they brought in Power 5 transfers like him, like Devin Bush, and like a bunch of guys they brought in through the transfer portal and through the high school ranks. That Grambling defense, which was already really good, is going to be really, really good, potentially be better this year. The true redemption story of Donte Starks is what I'm rooting for. He's the guy number 0 on the screen to the left. I think he could be special. Donte Starks comes in at number 3 on the 5 freshmen or the 5 newcomers to the SWAC that I am looking forward to seeing. Number 2, Jamari Jones, JUCO quarterback, transfer to Mississippi Valley. Now, you guys know that I have a soft spot in my heart for Valley. I think they picked Valley, the SIDs, because the folks told me that the SIDs made all the preseason rankings. The SIDs picked Valley to finish last in their division. The SIDs don't think much of Valley. The SIDs think Valley, which is in a rebuilding mode, is still at the beginning stages of their rebuilding mode. A guy that can expedite this process, a guy that has the chance to come in and help build upon the momentum the Valley built last year, went into big time games and taking teams like Jackson State to the wire, kind of pushing JSU around, is an upgraded quarterback. And that is what Jamari Jones can be. He comes from East Mississippi, the school from Last Chance U, or the first couple of seasons of Last Chance U. He was the number 1 ranked junior college quarterback. He threw for 2,700 yards and 33 touchdowns in 2021, ran for another 570 and 6 scores on the ground. So he's talented. Preseason SWAC newcomer of the year, according to HBCUsports.com. Shout out to HBCUsports.com. And he was a 3-star recruit coming out of the JUCO ranks. Look, Valley plays Coach Dancy, Caleb Johnson. Shout out to the good frat, Caleb Johnson. They play hard-nosed, smash-mouth football. And all of that is great. All of that is fine. All of that is dandy. But the only way to win in this league, with the upgrades the teams have made across the board, Not just JSU, the defending champions, not just FAMU, a team who could easily be the defending champions. Everybody upgraded across the board, and everybody upgraded the signal caller position, meaning the quarterback. The best conferences, the best teams have a reliable baller who can make plays when plays need to be made at the quarterback position. Across the country, both FCS, FBS, Division 1, 2, 3, NIAA, the teams that are winning, JUCO, the teams that are winning, the teams that are making the most noise, the teams that are doing big things are the teams with an adequate signal caller. Jamari Jones can be that for Valley, and if Jamari Jones can have an inkling of these type of numbers at Valley, 2,733 touchdowns, Valley, that's like 1,000 more yards than Valley quarterbacks had last year. That's almost double the touchdowns that Valley quarterbacks had last year. And that's just through the air. He added another 570 and 6 touchdowns on the ground. You add his mobility to the running skills of Caleb Johnson in that backfield, compile that with the weapons that they were able to sign during signing day on the outside, and with this tough smash mouth, hard-nosed football that they already play, Valley, I'm telling y'all, I'm willing to bet a paycheck that Valley ain't finishing last. They had Valley and Texas Southern as the 2 last place teams. I talked about this when I did my SWAC Media Day recap. I am willing to go out on a limb, a pretty small limb if you ask me, that Valley and Texas Southern will not finish last in their divisions. I don't know who will. I know those 2 teams won't. And if Jamari Jones is anything that he was able to show at the JUCO ranks, they most certainly won't be. So Jamari Jones is my number 2 newcomer that I'm most looking forward to in the SWAC. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, guys. Hit that thumbs up button and say, everybody remember, JSU went undefeated with no Quay Davis, no Travis, no offensive line, no real OC, and Deion in his first real season. It's going to be scary this fall. I can't argue with that, Jerome. I cannot argue with that at all, because those are some big time additions. Those are. But we can't just act like everybody else in the SWAC just stayed still. We can't just act like, JSU went out and added all these players and all the schools in the SWAC just twiddling their thumbs. No, they went out and got some ballers too. And that's why we making this list, because they went out and got some ball players that's going to be able to do some things this fall as well, and looking at, rewrite their story, rewrite their narrative. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, guys. Okay. And my number 1 newcomer to the SWAC, that I'm most excited about seeing, and I think is going to have the biggest impact. I think the quarterbacks, Jamari Jones, who am I missing? Demetrius Davis, they can impact their team the most because they're quarterbacks. And that's why this list was quarterback heavy, because, as far as 2 out of the 5 spots were quarterbacks. But this guy, I think, will have the biggest impact on his team. This guy, if his team has great success, he's going to be a major reason, without a shadow of a doubt. And his coaches so much has said so. The guy's Ryan Peppins, freshman, Grambling. Ryan Peppins, friend of the show. Right? Shout out to Ryan. Shout out to you. Came on the show. Ryan Peppins is an animal. He's not a big animal. He is a very small animal, a decent sized animal, I'd say. But he's an animal. He's considered a transfer because he did enroll at Utah and he did go through spring ball Utah, but he's a true freshman. Utah transfer, true freshman. He was a 3-star recruit in 2022. The only reason why he was a 3-star, not a 4 or 5-star, is because he's 5'8" and 165 pounds. If he was 6 foot, 190 pounds, he'd be a 5-star recruit. That's not me just talking. That's the tape talking. That's the fact that he was able to win Mr. Football in the state of Alabama. That's loaded with talent. Like, especially the last couple of years. His year and this year, 23 and 22, loaded with talent in the state of Alabama. He won Mr. Football. His school, Thompson High School, has won the last 3 state championships and one of the highest classifications in the state of Alabama. Oh, yeah. And he helped them do that by having back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, catching 80 passes last year for over 1,300 yards and 23 touchdowns. Yeah, Ryan Peppins is the real deal. Yeah, I get it. Travis Hunter has a lot of hype as a true freshman, and as he should, rightfully so, because he's a 5-star. He is the first 5-star to ever choose an HBCU during the modern recruiting rankings. Kevin Coleman gets a lot of hype because he's a 4-star and he chose Jackson State on a national stage during the Army All-American game, something that had never been done, an HBCU being chosen during a nationally televised All-American game that had never been done, and rightfully so. He's excited. He's electric. He's a beast. He's a ball player. He's a stud. But if Grambling, who isn't being thought about much by most of the preseason rankings, Grambling, who isn't getting a lot of love from a lot of preseason people, right? And I get like a lot of the Hugh Jackson heard it. Shout out to Coach Hugh. He heard it. He came on here and he said, "Yo, it pissed me off, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay." Because they're going to learn about us really, really soon. And a reason why I think Coach Hugh is so excited, because one, he brought in 5 quarterbacks, and one of those guys got to be the answer. I don't know who. I don't know if it's Chance Amy, if it's Kajana Holloway, if it's my guy Julian Calvez, if it's any of those guys. I don't know which one it is, but one of those guys is going to work. And the big reason why one of those guys is going to work is because you got freshman wide receivers like Mr. Faison Wilson, Tyson Bordeaux, and Ryan Peppins. The boys got plenty of weapons. I ain't even talking about the running back room, which Miss LaShonda Love already told me is the best running back room in all of SWAC. That's yet to be seen, but she told me it's the best running back room in all of SWAC. Well, I don't know about the running back room. One of those quarterbacks is going to have to work. But one thing I do know, look at that last bullet point. The most exciting player entering the SWAC, period. I want you to listen to he is the most exciting player entering the SWAC. This is not excluding anybody at JSU and this is not excluding a person named Travis Hunter. No, the most exciting player entering the SWAC this year as a true freshman is that guy on the screen, Ryan Peppins. He's that good. He's that good. And this is not me blowing smoke. He is that legit. Don't believe me. Do not believe me. Just wait till this fall comes. You're going to see. So here is my top 5. 5, Demetrius Davis from Alabama State, quarterback. I think he has a chance to be special. I think he really legit has a chance to be special. Let's go back. Let's run through the list one more time. 5 was Mr. Demetrius Davis. Auburn transfer, has really big time chance to be special. 51-3 as a starter. That means the man ain't used to losing. And Coach Eddie Robinson, he's coming in. He ain't used to losing. So they coming in to win a bunch of ball games. You got 4, Quay Davis, the ultimate weapon, the ultimate offensive weapon. OW is what his position is going to be. He's going to be used at running back and wide receiver for JSU. I know they've probably been watching a lot of Debo Samuels. Hey, Mr. Davis, Debo just got paid $70 million. If you go and do your thing, you could potentially get a big-time payday too. He's a big-time recruit, 4-star out of the state of Texas, out of Dallas, I want to say. 3, Donte Starks, the ultimate true redemption story. I think he is someone that is going to come in. He's already getting to work. As you see, this is them at camp. Donte is a guy who has everything to play for. He almost had it all taken away from him. Coach Jackson, well, shout out to Coach Dooley. Coach Dooley and Coach Jackson both gave him another chance to redeem himself in his home state. Senior year stat line is bananas. If he can reclaim any of that, Grambling's got a good one on their hands. Jamari Jones, we just need a piece of this, dog. We just need a piece of them 33 touchdowns and them 2,700 yards you passed for. We need a piece of them 39 total touchdowns you had last year at East Mississippi, one of the best JUCOs in the country. If you bring that down to Valley is going to be very, very pleased. Those folks down in Enabina, they are going to be happy, very, very happy with the fact that you chose them. I think he is going to be one of the main reasons. Him and Caleb Johnson, shout out to Caleb Johnson, shout out to the frat, 06 to the good bros, are going to be a big reason why Valley doesn't finish last. Probably upsets one of you guys. Probably upsets a team they're not supposed to beat. And Jamari Jones will be the reason for that. But number one, and without question, I didn't have to think twice about who I thought was going to be number one. The true freshman and Ryan Peppins. I mean, come on, dog. Come on, dog. Look at that stat line and look at this last bullet point. Yeah, I say it again, and I'm going on wax. And after the season, y'all can come kill me if I was totally wrong. I could be completely wrong about Ryan, but I'm going on wax for saying he's the most exciting player to enter the SWAC, period. You can add any name on top of that. I'm going out on a limb. Ryan Peppins is the most exciting player to enter the SWAC, and that's why he comes in at number 1. So someone asked about Trillion, because we've had Trillion on the show before too. Shout out to Trillion Harris. Trillion is not at camp. Grambling actually released photos of the quarterback room today, and they showed all 5 guys. And I remember I made a video previously talking about there were 6 guys. Well, there's not. Trillion, and he told me this on this platform too. He told me that, he had to get his, because, he went to Bishop Sycamore and they had his issues with Bishop Sycamore. And he told me, he was like, as long as my transcripts, transfer and everything's good on that end, I'll be at Grambling come fall, come summer, come fall camp. Well, I'm assuming, I haven't talked to him, but I'm assuming that something went wrong with the transcripts and all that. He jumped from high school to high. I mean, he went to like 4 or 5 different high schools. Then he went to Bishop Sycamore. So there's a lot of stuff got mixed all up in there. I'm assuming that that didn't go through well for him. So no, Trillion Harris is not in camp for Grambling. So that I do want to go on and say that. Let me look at some of your. Let me look at some of your comments. That Grambling's going to be okay, but they're not going to stop JSU. No, I don't think Grambling will beat Jackson State this year. I'm not willing to go on and say that, but I do think Grambling is going to be better than some of the rankings have them. I think Grambling is going to be really, really good, especially if they can find the right quarterback. And it's got to be one of those 5 guys. One of the 5 guys, and guys know I'm rooting for Julian because Julian's my guy. Shout out to Julian. He came out here on this podcast. So I'm rooting for Julian. And I'm not one of those like commentators or content creators, whatever, that don't have favorites. Now I pick favorites. Yeah, I'm rooting for Julian. The Julian, think about this, guys. Julian got his first NIL deal, and I'll be short on this, but Julian got his first NIL deal, right? He's from Orlando, Florida. With his first NIL deal, he wanted to dedicate whatever funds or whatever. He held a charity event for one of his friends that was gone too soon while he was in high school. That's what he did with his first NIL deal. So to hell with not having favorites. A young man who was in high school, he's a senior in high school, takes his first NIL deal, whatever proceeds, whatever just the notoriety around it, to host a charity event in honor of his fallen friend. Yeah, you got a supporter for life in me, for Julian. So shout out to Julian Calvez. There's that. Some more Art says, JSU, man, Jackson State's leveling up is going to be rough for rough one for some teams. I'm not disagreeing with that though, Art. I definitely think Jackson State's going to be the real deal. I definitely think Jackson State has a really good chance of going undefeated. But that doesn't mean that they couldn't get upset. I have a video. I'm going to do a video tomorrow about 3 teams that could ruin JSU season. There's 3 teams, 3 schools that can ruin Jackson State's season. And I'm going to talk about that tomorrow, though. But that's for tomorrow's show. That's for tomorrow's show. But be sure to check that out. 3 situations that could tip you that. I don't think Jackson State season can be ruined, but there are 3 scenarios that could ruin their season. But let's keep looking at these comments. Shout out to y'all, man. Hit that thumbs up button, too, by the way. Maurice Washington is the most exciting player coming to the SWAC to me. Just wait and see. Maurice Washington, Janine, is a name. Maurice Washington, I have to remember that. He's one of the running backs. And like I said, Miss LaShawn already told me that Grambling has the best running back room in all the SWAC. I don't know about that. With Quay Davis, Sevion Wickerson, and Tyson Alexander at JSU, that's a pretty good running back room. Gary Qualls by himself is a damn good running back room over at Alabama A&M. So we'll have to see. But Maurice Washington, don't worry. I'll remember. Do not worry about that. I will remember. Grambling will definitely be top 2 in the SWAC West. It's going to come down to the Bayou Classic to determine who goes to the SWAC championship. Maurice Washington, Peppins, Devin Bush, they're legit. Nah, Graham got some ballers. Now they got to put it all together. Don't get me wrong. They got to put it all together, and they don't have a whole lot of time to do it. But if they can get right this fall camp, Yeah, Grambling gonna be a good team. We know how you feel. You know how I do. You JSU all the way through and through. JSU. Hey, Jackson State, man. Jackson State is gonna be one hell of a team too, by the way. But I'm gonna talk about 3 ways that their season can be ruined tomorrow. Be sure to check that out tomorrow. 3 scenarios that can ruin Jackson State's season. Do I think any of the 3 will happen? No. I'm gonna just go ahead and say no. But I am gonna talk about 3 ways that could be ruined. Let's keep going. Bayou Classic decide who will win the West will be epic. I think it will, because I've already talked about on this platform about how good I think Coach Dooley and Southern is. I think Southern is the cream of the crop in the West. I think they are the team to beat. They have to get the court. Bashawn McCray is his name. Bashawn McCoy. Bashawn McCoy has got to be that dude. He's got to be that dude. And if he is that dude, whoo! If Mr. Bashawn, if he's that dude, Southern is going to be a problem. They're going to be a problem. What's Marquand talking about? He's saying 14, 7, 20. So you saying, hold on, Marquand. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm reading this right. And if everybody deciphers, he thinks Jackson State will beat FAMU by 14, Tennessee State by at least a touchdown, and Grambling by 3? You think JSU is going to be Grambling by 3 touchdowns? You think they're going to be FAM by 14, Tennessee State by 1 touchdown, and Grambling by 3 touchdowns? Ooh, that's a bold statement, big dog. That is a I like it though, man. I love the preseason smack talk because guess what? It all gets settled on the field. And there's nothing any of us can do about it. We can come up here and jaw jack all we want, but at the end of the day, it's up to those young boys, those coaches, their preparation, their training, and what they execute on the field to decide all of this. This is some bold statements, though. This is a pretty to say they're gonna be Grambling by 3 touchdowns and FAMU by 2 or more touchdowns. That's pretty dang on bold. It's pretty dang on bold. He's a McCray. Okay, so yeah, Bashawn McCray. Okay, there we go. Bashawn McCray. Shout out to you, Mr. Chris McCray. He said that's exactly what I'm saying. It's remembered. It is remembered. August 10th is remembered, big dog. 3 touchdowns on Grambling is impressive. That's gonna be tough to do, but I'm not putting it past them. I think JSU is gonna score a lot of points this season. I think JSU is gonna score a whole lot of points this season, but I also think Grambling is gonna score some points this year too. I really do. I just think they have too many weapons not to get in the end zone a number of times this year. Shell says, nah, Graham taking that. So you take the 3. Yeah. Give me 21 points with Grambling on that September 17 matchup. I'll take that bet. Marquand, I'll take that bet. You can hit me up on the side. I'll take the bet. I don't think you're beating Grambling by 21. And if you beat the hell out of Grambling 48-21 or something, I'm going to be sick, but I'll take that bet. Shout out to y'all, man. 5 most exciting players, 5 biggest newcomers, best newcomers coming into the SWAC this year. I ran them down. Davis, Demetrius Davis, Quay Davis. Man, make sure I'm not messing this up again. Demetrius Davis, Quay Davis, Donte Starks, Jamari Jones, Ryan Peppins. Those are my 5. Leave your 5 in the comments down below. Leave your 5 in the comments down below. Thank you guys. Once again, my name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. with the Black Boss Channel in Victory Formation. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out, and I will see you guys next time. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. That is on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. If you don't like what I said, if you love what I said, let me know. I always respond. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Peace.